Tell a little story here about jumping to conclusions. So years ago, before I was in business, we lived in a house, and we were renting this house at the time, and it was across the street from another house, and a couple lived there at that house, and they were not nice to us. That couple kind of like reported us to the city a couple of times. The first week we lived there, we got like 4 citations from the city, and it was wild. They in like a couple of years of work of living there, rather like maybe 3 years of living there, they never spoke to us. They were pretty cold to us, actually. Pretty cold to us. Well, I ended up getting into business. This was 2018, so we lived there for 5 years, actually, at this point. We lived there for 5 years. I went and ended up getting into business in 2018. And I had just bought a set of steel combi, steel combi. I just bought a steel combi. It was a KM130, which was at the time was the biggest gas power head that they made. And I bought the blade edger attachment, and I bought the hedge trimmer, the articulating hedge trimmer attachment. And I thought, I'm set. This is what I'm going to use. This is going to work out great. Well, I had worked a few months, and this guy, the neighbor that I'm talking about, actually approached me one day randomly, and it was like, this guy doesn't really care for us, but I wonder why he's talking to me now. He was asking me about trimming his bushes up, and by trimming his bushes up, he wanted them cut in half. Now, at the time, I was not the wisest when it comes to pricing. So, and it was my first year in business, so I didn't know my numbers, and I didn't really know what I was doing in terms of what to tell him. So I gave him a price that I thought was good, not realizing how much work that would entail. It took me like 3 or 4 days to do that job, off and on afternoons, and it wore out that combi. Those hedgers were dull at the end of that. Man, they were dull. And I think the guy felt sorry for me. He paid me like $100 more than I charged him, which I think I only charged him $400 to begin with, and that job should have been 3 or 4 times what I charged him realistically. As much work as it was, and as many clippings. These were holly bushes that were probably these holly bushes are probably 10 feet tall, and he had me cut half 5 feet or 4 or 5 feet of them off. It was bad. Well, suffice it to say, the relations kind of went the way they'd been, and we moved away. 2 years later, we moved away from that area, and I never thought about those people again until one day I was reached out to by that guy's wife. Now, of all the people, we thought that the wife was actually the one who was really sour on us, more so than the husband, because she scowled at us every time she saw us. She never spoke a word to us. The husband would maybe say hi every so often, and he's the one that approached me and hired me to do that job. But other than that, he was kind of cold too, but she was very cold. She was a lot colder than he was to us. Well, the wife, in fact, reached out to me about 4 years later after we moved away, and this was 2024, so it would have been last year, and she was asking me about how we've been and all this, and they were needing us again me to come out again to trim bushes, and I was like, I thought it was very strange. I was like, do they remember me? Do these people know who they're talking to? I didn't think we were really on good terms with them, but the way she was talking, she was just talking like we were old pals or whatever. Well, this being the fact that now that I'm in business, I know my numbers and I know what I'm worth, and I'm charging, the rate that I need to be charging. I gave her a price, And I was expecting, the conclusion I was coming to was I was going to get told no, and I was crazy, and, you know, F off, and all this other stuff that I was expecting to hear. Instead of that, I got the opposite reply, which was, that sounds great, put us on the schedule. I was blown away. I could not believe what I was hearing. As it stands now, I've done that job twice. I did that job twice last season, and I have done it twice this season now. I went out there this past weekend. They contacted me on a Friday, and luckily I had an opening on a Saturday morning. I had another job scheduled, but the person had decided to wait for a few days, and so I just happened to have an opening, and it worked out perfectly. I was able to fit them into that slot, and I still was just blown away by the fact that, you know, I thought for all these years that we were on bad terms and these people hated me, and turns out they like me. They like me a lot. As the old saying goes, they like me right now. They really like me. That's not actually the phrase. That's a Mandela effect. But it's right now they like me, you know. And so the husband even told me this time, he told me, you're worth every penny we pay you to do this. And I'm shocked. It's a good kind of shocked, but it's a surprise nonetheless. When you have a conclusion drawn out in your head that somebody has a certain thought about you, when in reality, that thought is completely off. In reality, these people have the complete opposite opinion of you. And maybe some point during this last 9 years or whatever, that opinion changed somehow. I don't know. Look at that beautiful cat eye there. Oh yeah. But I don't know. All I know is, keeping that in mind for the future, don't jump to conclusions. Some people who you think don't like you, they might actually like your work and appreciate you. And by the same token, some people who you think are your friends and your allies might actually be your enemies, and they might be working down behind the scenes to tear you down. So that's another topic. That's another video for another story. So maybe we'll get that one at some point. Let me drive up next to this beautiful cat eye. Look at that beautiful cat eye. Oh, right.